order. Open Public Meeting Act, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231. According to the Open Public Meeting Act, this meeting of June 11, 2025, was published in the Bergen Record and the Herald News on January 8, 2025, and was sent to our town. The executive session meeting notice was published in the Bergen Record and Herald News on June 8, 2025. In addition, copies of said notice are and have been available to the public and are on file in the office of the Township Clerk. Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Opici?
Yes, here.
Committeewoman Artola?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Here.
Committeeman Choblinski? Has it arrived? And Mayor Judge Carvello?
Here. Okay, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance after we come out of a closed executive session. Resolution 25-178, authorizing to enter into executive session. May I have a motion for, and this is for litigation, negotiation, attorney-client privilege. May I have a motion to enter an executive session?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second? Roll call.
Committeewoman Opici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Carvello?
Yes. Okay, we'll be in closed session until approximately 7 p.m. Thank you. Call to order. May I have a motion to come out of executive session?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Committeewoman Opici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Choblinski?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Carvello?
Yes. Thank you. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening. Let's start off with any correspondence.
Yes, Mayor, we have one correspondence from the OEM. I will read it into the record. Dear community members, we invite you to attend an important and informative workshop, Understanding Sensory Communications Differences and Needs, presented in partnership by the Rochelle Park Office of Emergency Management, Rochelle Park School District, and RWJ Barnabas Health. This session is designed for emergency responders, educators, parents, and all community members who want to better understand how sensory and communication differences can impact interactions, especially during stressful or crisis situations. Participants will gain practical tools to promote safer, more inclusive, and supportive responses in homes, schools, and community settings. The date will be Monday, June 16th, 2025. 7 p.m. at the Rochelle Park Senior Center located here, 151 West Passaic Street. No registration is required. Just join us for this valuable and free community event. You can see the attached flyer, which we will have outside on our bulletin board. We hope to see you there.
Very good. Thank you. This is offered by Mr. Pete Donatello, who is our OEM coordinator, emergency management coordinator for the Township of Rochelle Park. Hopefully everybody could be in attendance for it. Thank you, Mr. Donatello, for doing this. All right, so we have adoption of the meeting, minutes of the meetings as public session from May 28, 2025, executive session May 28, 25. May I have a motion to adopt the minutes?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second? Roll call.
Committeewoman Opici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Choblinski?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Carvello?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. May I have approval of the agenda? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Committeewoman Opici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Choblinski?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Carvello?
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Before we go into a couple of things here, I do have, we have on the agenda that we will be hiring a dispatcher, correct?
Correct,
All
Mayor.
right. So we do have Nicole here. Hi, Nicole. Could you give us a little background on her, please?
Sure. Nicole's coming to us. She was one of 6 finalists in our interview process for dispatcher. She comes to us with, she worked as an EMT for at least 3 years. She's worked for the Bloomfield Police Department as a dispatcher. And we look forward to a seamless transition, and she will start tomorrow as long as this resolution passes tonight.
Very good. Welcome, Nicole. You know, we are a small community, but we're powerful, and you're going to get calls. But, you know, and I trust that our police chief had all the interviews and everything else needed, and, you know, welcome again. Thank you. All right, so let's go on with administrative report, please.
Oh, sure, Mayor. Might as well start with the capital multipurpose bond ordinance that I look to introduce in the upcoming months. I went over this with department heads as well as our CFO, and you have it all in front of you. And you can see what some of the layouts of things are, what we're looking to do. I know Dave Brown and I have spoken. The wood chipper, I kind of hope that Dave could pick one or the other, but the wood chipper alone, we spent about $12,000 a year last year having to make repairs. There's still one outstanding repair that cannot be done because they no longer fabricate parts for the chipper. So we're basically, it's currently working, but it's in need of replacement. The fire department also, and there was several reductions made in some of the requests from department heads, and again, I've had conversations with each one of them and with the CFO on this. But it's there in front of you, and again, this is what I hope to bring forward as far as a bond ordinance, for, again, a multi-purpose bond ordinance. It's coming in just under $800,000 as opposed to last year's $2 million multi-purpose bond ordinance. And again, understanding that, you know, the needs here are being met and there's no extra, projects that have totaled. And, you know, last year, of course, was driven by the $800,000 roofing project, which you'll have on your agenda. You know, we're moving forward on that and hoping that comes in way under budget, and we should be able to cancel off a lot of that debt once that happens.
Okay.
Other than that, Mayor, I do have some other.
Okay, great.
I do have some others.
No, hold on one second.
Sure.
If you don't mind. Anybody have any questions so far on this capital multi-purpose bond ordinance? Any questions on it?
Yeah,
Yes.
I got a couple questions.
Sure.
Just citing over some of the information on here. Under the OEM, the Saddle River rain gauge.
Sure.
Can you explain it?
I can. I have Pete here, but I'll start. So basically, this would be a gauge that gets mounted, and we're hoping that Susquehanna Railroad allows us to mount it to their trestle over the Saddle River. And basically, don't ask me the technology, but it will sit up there and it monitors the water level. Currently, we rely upon a very inconsistent gauge provided by the National Weather Service, and Lodi's also installed one, but we don't have access to that information in real time as of yet. This would provide us real-time information as to how high the Saddle River is getting within the confines of Rochelle Park. Both the National Weather Service gauge and Lodi's are obviously in the borough of Lodi. By the time, you know, when their gauges show a height, it's usually too late for us to have any reaction. So this was something that the OEM coordinator brought forth, saying, hey, it would be very helpful in having this in real time and allow us to get proper warnings and notifications out to our residents. And Pete, if I'm missing anything, feel free to come on up.
Mr. Donatello, would you like to come up for a minute, please? I know there's a couple of questions about this river gauge. I do understand that they do have it in Lodi.
If you could sit at the table, Pete, if you like, and just make sure the red light's on the bottom. There you
It's
go.
working, yeah. So I understand they have this river gauge in Lodi, and I understand because we don't have it, a lot of times our water prediction is a little higher than what we were actually getting before. Am I understanding that?
Yeah, it's pretty close to being accurate. Unfortunately, we met with the Weather Service in 2021, and they had promised to fix the gauge. We had noticed inconsistencies in some of our past major events. Between 21 and now, we've adopted what we call a 2-foot rule. That's how inconsistent it is. We take a look at the river gauge, and whatever height it is or whatever height is projected, Lodi OEM and Rochelle Park OEM adopted this 2-foot rule. We're going to take that prediction because it's so inaccurate. We're going to add 2 feet to that, and then we're going to plan our response accordingly. So the problem we have is there is a river gauge there. Unfortunately, it's very inconsistent, and it doesn't give us real good readings at all. And we've noticed in the past, as we start to prepare, we rely on that river gauge quite a bit. So we had felt, and we met with the contractor, same contractor that installed one in Lodi down near Felicia College in that area.
Lodi's looking to install another 2, one at the Boys Club, and there was another one that the location escapes me, but we don't have access to that data. Okay, what we'd like to be able to do was have one that we could monitor in Rochelle Park. We looked at 2 locations, Market Street and the Railroad Avenue Bridge. It turns out the Railroad Avenue Bridge is our best, looks like it's our best option there for a lot of reasons. Dean had touched on some of them with the electric, that they'll need to be able to monitor, have a backup power generator there, that type of thing. So it gives us the consistency when we start to plan for a major weather event. You know, we take into consideration a whole host of factors. You know, the amount of rain that's predicted, the track of the storm, and and as you know, there is certain factors that go into that, and we do rely heavily on what that river gauge is telling us, and we need it in real time. Scientifically, what we've done in the past is we've taken a young fireman, put him out in the water with a cone, and we've marked the date and the time that he was there. We'll come back an hour later, and we'll see how far that water has gone. This gives us the ability to be able to do things without putting someone in the water with a cone or with a yardstick, and we could judge it real time. And it gives us a heads up to get those emergency alerts, is really what it does.
That go out. Yeah, and if you don't get emergency alerts, please sign up for them. If you need information, Mr. Donatello will give you it. But now, you're looking to do over here by Railroad Avenue.
Correct.
I know it gets pretty high by the bridge and Howard Avenue area too, or also gets a little high. How far does this expand to let us know?
Well, what happens is the flooding that we get is what we'll call ponding, okay? And as the water starts to back up is when we start to see it. We're getting the flow coming down, but that's not our concern. Our concern is as the water starts to back up. So the further downstream we could be, okay, more of a time advantage to us. Okay, if we install that any further up the river, basically at that point, it's way too late. So the further downstream we could get it, it gives us the heads up. As the water starts to back up, the ponding is the water has no place to go. And as it starts to flow from the north to the south, it backs up to us. So the further south we could go, we're going to get it way ahead of putting it at Howard Avenue or any other place. That's probably about the furthest north that I think we should go.
Now, I see that the dollar cost here, and I know, Mr. Twinsky, I didn't forget about you. I know you have a couple more, but I see that the dollar cost that you have listed here is $29,000.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that's the quote that came in.
Yeah, it's just over 27,000, but I built it for contingency for power, for electric. Okay. Because we have to provide electric to it.
We're providing electric to a gauge that's in the water.
Not in the water.
Where is it?
Be mounted to the bottom of the trestle.
Underneath?
And it shoots down.
Okay.
Yeah, is it infrared, Pete, or is it?
Yeah, it actually does 2 things, Dean. It's a sensor, and if you remember when we spoke with that guy, with the contractor, we're looking to get the depth down, but unfortunately, the one gauge they had is actually lower than the height that we get. So we needed a gauge that actually does from the, let's say, the bridge down, as well as if it takes over, if it overflows, gets higher than the gauge, we need something that goes from the gauge up. So we had to, he's going to have to install a different type of gauge, one that goes higher than what the original called for.
Right.
If that makes sense, I don't know. Does
It
that
does,
make sense?
yeah, it does make sense, because unfortunately, we do have some flood areas, especially with the rain that we're getting, who knows at this point, but we always need to be alerted, at which you are very diligent, thank you for doing that, to make sure our residents, of course, are out there being safe, and the police department knows, fire department know, DPW will know, and we'll have a heads up on that. Anything else? Yeah.
Just to put it in perspective,
Yeah.
just so you know, the gauge that he had measures up to a height of 10 feet. We've had that in flood stage at the Saddle River. Extreme flood stage is 8 feet. It starts at 5, 6, then it goes to 8. We've had the river go as high as 14 feet. So we needed to get
Floyd, Pete, or?
Floyd and Ida. Ida came in a little bit below 14. It was 13 and change.
Floyd was the highest?
Floyd was 14.1, 14.2, something
Wow.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we've had it at 10 feet and 8 feet and
Right.
somewhere in between. So we needed a gauge that was able to go as high as at least 14 feet, because that's how, unfortunately, the river does hit that height.
Great.
Okay, and 8 foot is is where we start to, 6 foot is where we start to get concerned. 8 foot is we're looking at evacuations.
Okay.
Okay, so the higher, the earlier advantage, the higher we could get it, the better we are.
Right. And I know that last year that the county cleaned out that area with some of the debris. Mr. Brown, am I correct that the county was down there and cleaned out some of that debris by the Railroad Avenue there? That was, I don't know if that's, excuse me. Yeah, so I don't know, are they looking to do that again this year, do you know?
They only did it,
an
we
emergency.
were trying to collect it when they knew we had a problem, and it was the diligence of people just taking a look and saying, hey, that doesn't look right, prior to the flood. Rarely that bridge was done, kept the flood,
Right,
because all the stuff washed away and that didn't
Right.
get removed from,
Right. thank
we
you.
were out there with, machines and equipment.
I remember, I saw it, yeah, thank you very much. All right, Matt, anything else?
Yeah,
Do you want to answer?
along the same lines of that, do they have any safeguards or any protection for these gauges when debris floats down? Like, I've seen that bridge loaded with branches and other kinds of items that come down and get stuck on that thing. And I'm picturing the gauge as a delicate calibrated sensor that needs to be recalibrated if it gets whacked or knocked off, or also damage, I'm also thinking of damage. I'm thinking of vandalism, that kind of thing. $29,000 gauge, seems like a target, for me. That's how I'm thinking. But I don't know enough about it. I don't know about how it's set. I've never seen one of these.
It's somewhat inconspicuous. Someone would need to know exactly what it is, otherwise it looks like something that's on a railroad trestle.
It has to be mounted
Okay,
pretty much out in the middle of the trestle.
Do we have to
Yeah.
get permission from the river?
Yes, we would have to get permission for the railroad.
It would be difficult, but I wouldn't put it past anyone to do anything, but it would be difficult at best. Even installing it's going to have some difficulties too. So I would say vandalism, probably not the biggest concern. Maybe more of a concern would be the debris that comes in, but without specifically asking that question, I know it's made for that, because they do install it. The one they installed in Lodi is down off of, near where the DPW yard is, a little bit north of Felician, and they're going to get it, they'll get it first. So it's been up there for about 3-4 years already without a problem, from what I understand. So I'm not sure how much of a problem that is.
Is it possible to get more information on that? Or,
Well, what other information would you like?
like if they were going to mount theirs with the location where they're mounted in Lodi, I'll take a ride by Lodi, take a look at, see what it looks
You
like.
wanna go down
I'm
there?
just,
No,
my
I
knowledge.
believe it's Norwood Avenue. Just don't hold me to the street. I think that's where they are.
I think you can reach out to the vendor too and kind of see if there's a warranty or how it withstands debris.
Yeah, we could do that. I'm sure it comes with a warranty. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't quite remember. I think that was all built into the quote.
And are there, in the floodwater management spectrum with technology, is this the only option we have, or are there other options out there?
The only other option is that I could see, it's similar to what the National Weather Service uses. And, before some of the changes, they were a reliable and at some point very reliable resource. So it's the similar or same type of gauge that they use. Okay, unfortunately, the one that the Weather Service operates in Lodi, and that's just south of Market Street Bridge between that Water Lane and Market, it's in between there. Unfortunately, that's so old. I'm talking 20 years old, perhaps.
Okay.
So technology has improved. Unfortunately, the Weather Service hasn't caught up with that. Now they tell us they don't have the resources to improve their gauge. Otherwise, I really would not want to spend that money if we have something that close. Unfortunately, it's just not reliable.
Are we aware of any satellite imaging that allows for measuring, real-time measurement? Only reason why I ask that, there's satellite imaging for insurance companies that does down to the inch now for roofs, siding, buildings. I don't climb a ladder anymore when I go on roofs. I use all satellite imaging. It's a hell of a lot cheaper and safer. A lot of insurance guys, that's why you never see them carry ladders on their trucks anymore, because when they do their claims, they do it all from satellite imaging.
I don't know that much about it, but what I could tell you is I know on a blue sky day it's probably fine, but unfortunately, when we have to rely on a gauge, it's something other than a blue sky day. So
So,
I'm
Mr.
not sure how
Twisty, if you'd
helpful.
like to have a meeting with Mr. Donatello and have a discussion further.
No,
on
no,
that.
just seeing this now, I think I'm just gonna do a little research and just
Sure.
look and see if I can.
Why don't I get you in touch with the vendor? And we could maybe do a conference call and meet with him. This way you could ask
That's a
those
great idea.
specific questions.
That's great.
And I'll be happy to be in, sit in with you on a call or on a meeting with him.
Or if you're gonna make and model, kind of, you got to put that on a quote somewhere.
It's on
Information.
that is on the quote.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it is. I don't have it with me.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Donatello.
Mayor, I
Anybody
just-
else?
yeah, just wanna-
Mr.
yeah.
No.
I just want to ask about technology. Dean, when's the last time the computers were replaced for the township and the police?
So we do it on a rolling basis, pretty much try to replace 3 a year, which brings you to like a 5-year cycle for most computers. I mean, that's the short answer. It's just become, the need for tablets, laptops has increased with the new committees, the new commissions, so it's trying to just be out in front of that.
Question about the network upgrades. So that corresponds with Edmonds?
That's pretty much the cost of Edmonds.
Okay, it's the 64,000.
Correct.
So for people to understand about the Edmonds, could you explain a little bit about it so they understand what the Edmonds is?
Yeah, we've been currently using Unidex, which is kind of fallen off from being one of the better products, and that's everything our finance, our tax office uses, and Edmonds is kind of the better way to go. It'll make the repetitive work in the finance office and in the tax office that much less. And it's just a more modernized system. It grants a lot more access to the committee. Even purchase orders are done basically electronically, so there's no more having to have paper. Do you use Edmonds in Wallington?
Yeah.
Electronically. You
So
can
it's-
approve them electronically, there's no more use of printed paper.
That's
Do
good.
Everything through there.
I know it.
Scan it.
I've heard it's much better and it works well for municipalities. I know a lot of people. I do understand, correct me if I'm wrong, even to approve this, I think it's a year's waiting list
Yeah.
to actually get into it.
About 8 to 10 months is what
Right?
they're telling us
Almost a
now.
year? Okay.
Correct.
great. So that's one of the things. Anything else, Mr. Miller?
Just any other fees that occur with Edmonds? Any annual fees?
There will be annual fees after that, correct. And those obviously can't be bonded. They have to be paid for out of the operating budget.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? I have a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
I was excited to see technology, but for another reason, I thought maybe we were setting aside some money for upgrading our website on the town side. Where are we at with that?
So, I mean, we've had a shared service agreement, or shared service meeting rather with the school. Gina has reached out to some vendors as well. We've gotten some quotes, and again, it's going to come down to the funding issue. How do we fund that? We're waiting, again, to get final numbers from the school, I think, as far as what we need and what they can do, what they can provide. But it's a work in progress.
Would it be feasible to try and, if we're not going to get somewhere with the school, to get something on this cycle?
I'll have that conversation with Gina and the CFO, see if that can be done through this.
Just because we're in need of it.
Yeah, we are.
Well, we've been looking into it, Mr. Twinsky, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, for a few years now, right? I understand that we've been, and I know we talked more about it this year than anything else. We have tried reaching out. I know Ms. Kim has been looking into it. It is something that absolutely needs to be done, in my opinion, and we will hopefully get it done very, very soon. Especially since, I'm just going to jump in on one thing too, that we're looking at, Ms. Kim, we're looking at to have a town newsletter that will be on, is going to be on the website? Are we doing it on the website?
Through the website and also through constant contact.
Constant
So
contact.
residents and businesses and anyone who's interested can sign up through that website.
Constant contact, yeah. Okay, so that's going to hopefully come out July 1st, we're looking at?
Correct.
And that'll be an updated newsletter for the town residents. So I know there's a lot of different departments that are going to have some kind of input in it, and hopefully it'll be very helpful to the residents. I have a question,
Sure,
if you
ma'am.
don't mind.
Not at all.
DPW. I see there's a replacement of a 2015 Ford F-250 pickup. Upfitting plow, so you need a new plow for that truck. Is that what it is? I'm sorry? Pickup truck and? And the plow. Oh, it's both from, because you have a list price here of $70,000 for that. Combined? Okay. And then I know the wood chipper. I know the wood chipper has been through a lot, and that price that you have to replace the 2015 one is $84,000. And has that, you've checked with other vendors
Yes,
for,
of
that's
course.
an average price, or?
For that model, I can get it from a couple different vendors. There's one of the models that I am looking at, is one of the better models that are more the word I'm looking for.
Efficient?
They're all efficient, it's better quality, lasts longer, so that's the ultimate goal. The one that we ended up with was on I believe a county or state contract. It was, it's looked upon as an inferior.
Oh, really?
Homeowner,
Oh.
tool, not necessarily.
For a town, municipality, yeah.
So, you look at that and the way, the machine has failed us at different times. When it's down, getting the parts
It's hard.
are extremely difficult.
Yeah.
We've tried using a couple different vendors for repairs. One that we used to use for our old chipper said he would work on it, but he's like, I'm not certified for that machine. I'll do it, but, and I'm like, no, if you're not certified to work on a machine, I'm not gonna let you work on it.
Right.
I found another vendor that is certified, and our machine sat in his shop for 2 months, 3 years ago, waiting for parts, because the parts are not readily available.
Right, understand, it's 2015. Thank you, and I do see that you have in here, under DPW, you have trees and sidewalks, 50,000, that would be looking for that, and that would be to,
That's repairs to any sidewalks that are damaged by municipal trees.
right,
We do, and other sidewalk areas within the township.
Right.
That are township-owned properties.
right, very good, thank you. Anybody else have any questions on this so far? Now, this is just a draft.
I do.
Understand.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chwinsky?
I don't know if Mr. Brown or our administrator would be better positioned to answer this question, but just for the benefit of all, the equipment that is going to be decommissioned and you're not going to use, what do we do with that? Do we offset the cost of the new one by selling them? What do we do? We put them for scrap metal? What do we do?
I'm telling you that chipper, I would love to scrap that work, but, I'm sure a small startup, either landscaper or something along those lines, is looking for a chipper and they have their own in-house, mechanic and they're willing to try and someone will attempt to buy it. Most often, we auction these items off. That's the key. I don't believe we're allowed to do trading. Ultimately, that would be best, because we could lower if we were able to do a trading. So it has to be auctioned off. That's our only.
He's saying, well,
So there is a value to this equipment on the way out, right?
Something's worth everything to everyone. Everyone's got to work. Something's good.
Well,
okay,
book
great.
value on a 2015 F-250's got to be worth a few bucks. I know it is, because I got an 05 out there that's worth a few bucks.
Oh, look, see, you might have a buyer. I don't know, anyway.
You just submit.
I will tell you, just so you understand, when you're using these vehicles and.
To plow the way it does.
You have to understand that these vehicles, when they're snow plowing, take an excessive beating.
Right.
Yeah.
Mileage on a vehicle or anything along those lines, the material that we put down on the roads to get them to blacktop, it's corrosive and it breaks down these vehicles. After every snowstorm, we wash the vehicles. We try and get as much of that material off of our trucks as we can. But the goal is safety, and that's the bottom line for the streets, for the residents. When you start looking at the vehicles, there's only so many hits that these things can take when you're hitting a manhole cover or a storm drain. It's just not normal wear and tear that you would have on a homeowner vehicle that's not traveling far.
Right, thank you. Listen, I know our DPW, as well as our police and fire, OEM, all do a terrific job, day and night, and the police department's on call 24/7. DPW, I can call and say, hey, help out, we need this. Fire department is always 24/7, police department, fire department. OEM, Pete will answer a lot of calls if you ever need it, somebody can reach out always to them, and also CERT is there too with that. I just don't want to leave OEM, I want to also include CERT into that. Thank you for everything you guys do. I know you work really, really hard, and we appreciate it. And everybody else, I can put their time and effort into it. So anything else, Mr. Pinto?
But just going back to that, I'll definitely follow up with Roy to see if the eligibility of a website, if that's covered. And I'll get back to you, we'll have it for next
I'm
meeting.
sorry, website.
If the website can be bonded.
Okay.
And usually not, because usually it's a service as opposed to a tangible object for, with a 5-year life term. But other than that, just wanted to bring up to speed, we have to purchase a new alco-test machine for the police department. That's required by the New Jersey Supreme Court. Fortunately, I originally had that under the PD for about $25,000, but what we've learned is we have enough money in the DDRF fund, which is our DDEF fund, which is the Drunk Driving Enforcement Fund. So basically, all I had to do was provide the state attorney general's office with a copy of a purchase order, and within 3 weeks, we should receive a check covering that cost. And we'll still have about $10,000 left in that account that can be used towards officers' overtime to do drunk driving enforcement. So no cost to the township on that. Basically, it's on previous enforcement and convictions through the court of drunk drivers, which we've had 2 in the last 24 hours. And one last thing, I know, Mayor, you asked me to touch upon this about Howard Avenue. We are moving forward. I've received information from Boswell in reference to our crosswalk. It's moving at the most rapid pace it can. That, of course, that bid was awarded to, again, pay from James Street to Patton Court. That vendor's also submitting a quote for the Patton to Harvey. And there are some punch list items left for the original Howard Avenue project. So what we're hoping to do is basically, based upon the bids, if it's the same vendor, obviously do it as one seamless job. And that's the hope. That's the hope that he comes in as the lowest bidder, and which is the benefit of the township, of course. And then the secondary benefit is the job will get done all at once. So for those that were asking about Howard Avenue, all sections will be done, and I hope it's done by the end of the summer.
Great. And if you could touch on the roof, I think we're supposed to be going out to bid on that.
So the bid packet is going to be dropped off here on Friday, and yeah, that'll be going out for bid, and we'll move forward on that, hopefully with a September date, timeline of getting that done. And for those that don't know, originally a re-roof, the technologies, basically, again, and I know I mentioned it before, but Mr. Trewinski brought some new technology to my attention. I brought it to our new engineer, who has looked at it and said, yeah, this is the way to go. There should be substantial cost savings with a 30-year warranty. So we're not losing any time or years on our warranty, just spending a lot less money to do it. And it also includes the second story roof that wasn't a part of the original project, as well as some repairs done to leaks that are occurring in the Sally Port. And again, we expect it to come in way under what was budgeted.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
Good job. Okay, we're moving forward to now. Attorney, any report?
Yes, just an update on the 120 West Passaic Street development. So that, the issues with that property owner are being pursued in 3 different venues at this time. One is in Superior Court. Motions have been filed and are returnable by July 18th, and that's over the lack of development of a restaurant on the site, which he was required to do with respect to the pilot agreement. There's also an action before the Construction Board of Appeals regarding the issue of a TCO, and there's also violations and summonses that are going to be heard in municipal court regarding the failure to comply with certain building requirements. So it continues to move forward, and hopefully we will be getting some results in the near future.
Very good. Thank you so much. And clerk's report?
Mayor, yesterday was the primary election, and I just wanted to say thank you to our poll workers for working a long day from 5 a.m. to well past 8 p.m., the police department and the DPW for helping us set up for the election and transport our election materials, and of course the voters of Rochelle Park for participating in the election. So thank you,
I'd like
everyone.
to thank Ms. Kim for being here. What time did you get here? 5 a.m.?
Yes.
5 a.m. And what time did you leave? 9?
9.
9. Okay, long day. Great job.
For everyone.
Thank you
And
for everybody that participated. I mean, it's a lot of work, believe it or not, it's a lot of work. And, it is a long day. And here you again, another long day. We appreciate everything that everybody does. So,
Oh, and
yeah, go ahead.
also to the deputy clerk, I also want to thank
Oh, yeah,
her.
where's Miss?
Over there, she also worked a very, very long day
Thank
with
you all.
everybody.
I know, it's a lot. All right, so let's move on to new business. Let's see. First thing is the appointment of a Recreation Committee member, and that's Mr. Dominic Pizzuto. I see him here. Thank you for volunteering your time, Mr. Pizzuto, moving forward for the Recreation. The appointment of Special Assistants to the Land Use Board is Mr. Verhassel, and that gentleman will be looking into some of the land use resolutions and all the other laws that go with it.
Maintenance code?
I'm sorry, Mr. Twinsky?
Maintenance code?
Maintenance code?
Maintenance code?
Maintenance code, just, I can't hear you from here. I don't know why, I can't hear you. But Mr. Verhassel volunteered his time. Thank you
Maintenance
for doing
codes.
that. And,
I'd like to ask a few more questions about that.
sure.
So, because we haven't had a special assistant before, so what are these responsibilities?
So he's going to just kind of look into see if the maintenance of, if everything is brought up to code to date. He volunteered to look them over and kind of give the land use board kind of an advisory. I do have the chairman for the land use board here. Did you want to, anything more that Mr. Verhassel will be doing, except kind of looking into the research of it and,
Mr. Verhassel approached the land use board multiple times to try to help in some capacity. Mr. Chewinski, Committeeman Chewinski, mentioned this before about our lack of updated maintenance codes. And I informed Mr. Verhassel that if he is looking to volunteer in any capacity, he has to go through the Township Committee and the mayor to be approved for that. So
and he did.
he's just a
Yep.
citizen who's very
He wants to represent.
involved with the land use, with the applications that come forward, and obviously some of the properties in town that maybe are not up to code with things, and he was looking to help out.
Just a volunteer to make sure.
So would he be in the office? Like, how does this, what exactly is he doing?
No, he's doing most of the research, from what I understand, at home and looking those up and reporting it back to the land use
I
board.
believe that those codes are, that's up to you guys, what he actually does, but I believe the codes are online, they're in our code book, the E-code.
Right.
So he has access to those, and
I believe he's brought up, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was a couple of times that I understand that he brought up there might be some older codes that need to be brought up too.
like our township litter ordinance, just something I'm looking at.
Right.
1987 was the last time it was updated.
Right.
So those types of.
1987, you said, right?
1987.
87,
yes.
okay.
I was 9.
Okay.
But,
A little older.
yeah.
Okay.
So, that type of volunteering.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything of, that any volunteer wouldn't want to do if he chose, he asked, he said,
No,
okay.
and I know from my experience on the planning board that that's something that interests
Oh,
him
yes,
for sure.
yeah.
I was just wondering how this was going to
Yeah.
come to fruition.
I believe it's just going to be kind of advisory to all of us. He'll come and say, and I think the chairman will be working on some of that too.
I just want to make it very clear, obviously, Mr. Verhassel approached the
He
new
did.
ordinance board, and at the direction of our attorney, et cetera, we said that to please approach the township committee about volunteering in any capacity. And the foundation of what he's volunteering for, as Mr. Chewinski mentioned, just reviewing our E-codes and making any recommendations for the planning board to consider, with obviously the consultation of their attorney as well, so.
Right. And our attorney said it was fine. Yes, Mr. Twinsky?
So, yeah, to further that along, and everything and all the above, Mr. Vaslitz want to read that very exciting maintenance code book, and if you ever had a chance to read it, it'll put you to sleep in a heartbeat. He wants to read it and update it. He wants to read it, not just update it. His capacity really as a volunteer is to point out where the codes may be lacking, not up to current date and up to time, and position it to land use board and to the town council to readopt or up our game on those because it's outdated. And in conjunction with that going on, if we get our website in place and we can get that link to our website, then anybody in the public can look it up when you drive by somebody's property or a house and see what resolutions they had passed on their property, and you can look it up and say, geez, okay, that tractor trailer is supposed to be there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on that because they had an approval for that, or no, it's not supposed to be there, and maybe we could send an email over to the administrator, or better yet, send it right over to our zoning official and say, hey, there's the property, here's the code section, make it very easy for them, you know?
Right through the SDL app. That's the best
Right.
way
We
to
do
do
have
it.
an SDL
Make it very
app
easy.
that you can do it on also. You can report it through the SDL app also. I mean, you know, we have a small community and we try to all work together, and that's the
Right.
best way I can put it. Well, thank you. Also, I just want to put on the agenda here under new business, I did appoint Mr. Pizzuto to the Recreation Committee, but I also like to say that Ms. Apice, due to her personal time restraints, has decided not to be the liaison right now to Rec, and Mr. Miller will take over. Thank you for everything you have done. We appreciate everything you've done. Thank you so much. Okay, so now I have public participation. Can I have a motion to open a public, please?
Now, we have a presentation.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Where are you? Right there, I see you. Presentation for the Russell Park Green, Complete and Green Streets. Would you come on up if you want to have a seat? That's right, I totally forgot about it. Thank you for being here. I know you've asked to speak to us before about it.
Yeah. Do you need access?
You have a USB?
Yes, I do.
Try our best.
Okay.
Not very exciting.
So Chris is here, and he's going to give us a little presentation on the Complete and Green Streets. He has approached the township before about it. We finally were able to fit him in to our schedule here, and we do appreciate Chris being here. Thank you, Chris. Can you hear me? All right.
Nobody push buttons.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay. Yeah, hi, good evening. Nice to see everybody again. So I wanted to talk about completing green streets, and a lot of what I talk about is coming from the NJDOT model, completing green streets for all policy guide, and so that you can find it online. I can share the link with you, but I wanted you to know that that's where a lot of the information comes from. So go ahead. And at first, I apologize that it's a little dry, and I don't want to read off the slides very much, but there is kind of a steep learning curve. So there's a lot of elements to this, and so a lot of people have questions about what are complete streets. And so really the idea is that they're streets that are accessible and safe for all road users. And with complete streets, it's a type of street, that can be designed in that way, but it's also an approach, and it's like a set of tools that you use in evaluating and designing and implementing measures to streets. But then it's also a commitment. So it's a commitment by a governing body, and it's something that is customized to the municipality. So there's no monitoring body. There's a model policy and a model resolution, but you can change it and alter it to however you wish to fit the residents in your town and your goals. Okay, so I don't want you to think of it as something that's handed down, that there's some accountability to a higher agency or something like that. Okay, go ahead. So there's many, many, many benefits. And actually, I'm going to share this presentation with everyone later so that you can read it in more detail. So, there's a lot of research behind just elements of complete streets that shows that it can really help local economies. It makes, the communities more livable, more enjoyable, and help people who may not be able to drive. They don't own cars, perhaps, or they have two cars and they would like to get rid of one of them and replace it with a bicycle or something like that. So there's a lot of benefits. Go ahead, in terms of like economics. And really, they can be done in all kinds of communities. And so it really, the design fits the local context. So like it says, there's no one size fits all. It's like a toolbox that, you apply. Okay, go ahead. And so these are just some more of the benefits that, you can kind of see for yourselves, but it has environmental benefits, social benefits, and economic equity. So that's a big thing about the new Completing Green Streets too, is that it focuses really on equity. So we want to look to see where people are struggling the most, or where conditions are challenging the most, and maybe people were historically subject to like tougher road conditions, and try to address those. Okay, go ahead. And so there's a key term, traffic calming. And so I know there's a lot of text here. Yeah. So this is an important concept, though. So you can see where it says achieve slow speed. So this does not mean create traffic jams everywhere. What it means is get people to do the speed limits that the roads are designed for or intended for. And so it's really mainly through physical measures, okay? So we're going to look at examples, but you can see there's a lot of benefits of traffic calming. For one of them, reducing the need for police enforcement. So actually they can respond to, maybe more important things than little minor crashes or speeding, having to give speeding tickets and things like that. Okay, so there's many, many, many benefits. And I looked in the Rochelle Park Master Plan, the reexamination report, and it's interesting that there is something about gearing like Main Street more towards pedestrians, and mentioned something about sidewalks, but it even mentioned some complete streets measures like curb extensions and bump outs and refuge islands. Okay, so there is something in the reexamination of the master plan about it, so go ahead. And I wanted to tie this in also with the traffic calming, and that so with speeding, it's very common for people to do about 10 miles an hour over the speed limit and figure, okay, generally I won't get a ticket for that, and I get somewhere a little bit faster. But it's really a matter of, like life and death, or the difference between like no injury or minor injury versus serious injury. So you can see that just increasing 10 miles per hour really increases the risk of a pedestrian being killed. But this doesn't display, of course, injuries. So you can imagine that probably it would be much higher than 45% for an injury with only a 10 mile per hour increase. So it's just the idea that traffic calming is really beneficial in terms of outcomes of potential crashes and reducing the likelihood of crashes as well. And so, at Easy Ride, we have access to crash data that actually a lot of police departments don't even have. So I just looked. Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. I live in Fort Lee, and they don't have access to it, so I'm always looking in there. So this is a zoomed out. We can zoom in, and like Mr. Pinto knows, you can zoom in on it and see where these crashes have occurred. So that red one, actually, that indicates that there was one fatality among those crashes, but it was on Route 17. So there were, amazingly and very, fortunately, between 2010 and 2024, there were no fatalities, driver or pedestrian or cyclist. So this is all crashes, and you can go ahead. And these are the crashes involving pedestrians and bicycles. So that's a driver colliding with a pedestrian or bicycle. And you can see there's kind of a cluster in front of the school there. It's orange, so that means there was a serious injury, at least one there. And unfortunately, that's a county road, right? Okay. So, yeah. But one thing, though, is that there are things that can be done on the municipal roads that intersect with the county road without having to do anything on the county road. Especially if the crashes involve turns or cutting across the county road. So we'll get into that.
In your experience?
I think it's safe for me to. No, I'll just say yes. You're absolutely right. But go ahead. We can talk more about that later. I've been doing a lot with the county trying to do a lot with the county, but understanding what they're doing, so I've learned a lot that I can share. And then there's the green streets part of complete and green streets. And so this is new for the newer complete and green streets policy that brings in elements to manage stormwater and also like reduce urban heat, so planting street trees and things like this. And so the great thing about green streets is that many of the measures can be combined with complete streets. So I'll show you some examples. So go ahead. And actually this is also from the Rochelle Park Master Plan reexamination, and it mentions right there, implement green streets on municipal roads. And it talks about biofiltration, increasing pervious surfaces, stormwater bump outs and bioswales there at the bottom. So keep going. I'll show you what those are in a little bit. So this is firststreet.org. If you've ever looked at this, it's a pretty neat site, and you can look up different like climate risks, and you can see the outline of Rochelle Park, and I'm sure you know this very well. And is this consistent? You see where the dark blue is, where you've been experiencing flooding, if you can kind of figure out where that is. So this is projected for 30 years into the future where the major risks are going to be. So, yeah, you could check out that site, but go ahead. Firststreet.org, yeah. Okay, so this is just a little bit about the policy that I kind of already talked about, so you can keep going, and I'll touch on those points. So, really, this is just emphasizing the equity aspect, so that the whatever your transportation investments and improvements that are done, that they are inclusive and fair for all users. So that's all ages, all abilities, all like modalities. That, and again, though, that doesn't mean on every road, and because the demands, or I guess demands or uses or future uses like are different for different roads. And so there's a lot of different definitions or examples of what a complete street is, but we'll get into it more still. So the first step, here we are. So the first step is to adopt a resolution, and there is a model resolution. Actually, I have it in my bag that I want to share it with you, but it's really making that formal commitment, okay? And a lot of towns have adopted it exactly as it is. It's pretty well designed by the NJDOT and people from Rutgers. Okay, go ahead. And then the second step is to develop and adopt a policy. Okay, nice. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah. So that's probably based on this. And in adopting the policy, I'm not going to go into too much detail about it now because there is a lot, but there are 3 tiers of policies, and they each add on a little bit more. But one of the important things is forming a Complete Streets Advisory Committee. So this is actually, I'm doing this in Fort Lee as a resident in Fort Lee. We're forming an active transportation advisory committee right now. And then we'll be meeting once a month. And this is, I'll show you what kind of people, what roles would serve on that committee. And then, we'll go back really quick. Sorry, no, it's all right. Okay, you can go ahead. I just wanted to double check, yeah. So this is those 3 tiers, and I'm not going to go into much detail here, but each level that you go up, you can get more points for Sustainable Jersey recognition, and it does count toward 2 gold stars for Sustainable Jersey. One of the requirements, adopting the Complete and Green Streets policy. Right, okay, go ahead. So, and then it's just recommended that you do it as an ordinance. You know the difference between resolutions and ordinances. So ordinances have benefits to doing it that way. Go ahead. And this is the resolution. I just put it up here. Go ahead, click ahead, and click ahead. And that's also part of it. So a lot of towns adopt that as it is, but you can change elements of it. It's up to you. It's your policy. So go ahead. And the exceptions are, I don't want to say allowed because there's nobody who's saying you can or can't do it, but they are done. So you are able to write exceptions in. So these are very typical exceptions here, but I want to get to Yeah, so you can look at C there. So there's a demonstrated absence of both the current and future need to accommodate the category of user. So if you anticipate that no one rides bicycles here, we don't think anybody will because there's nothing really to go to on either end. We never have to consider, you know, if we're going to repave this road, we can say, here is our exception that we don't have to put bike lanes, for example, on this road. Okay, it's just an example. So go ahead. And so as I was mentioning, that's a commitment by the municipality. So there's a set of checklists, and this is kind of a bit of a change in the way that you do things in the town. So we'll get into the checklist a little bit, but it's that when there's a project that you're going to be, say, paving, that you're considering elements of complete streets that you could put in on that street, and then you go through the checklist. So there's one for the planners, the engineers, the maintenance, like DPW, and they go through the checklist, and then you are like sort of the ones who hold everyone accountable in a way that this is how we do things now. You do this paperwork, sign off, give it to us. We make sure, okay, you know, this element won't work here, you know, for whatever reason, or it could work here. Okay, so I hope you're getting the picture of how that would work. Yeah, there's so much. Okay, and so this is an exemption I wanted to show you because I know cost is a factor for many municipalities, and they're worried that they're going to have to be spending more money on things. But this is an exemption that was written in Milburn that they set 20% like over. That they said that's an automatic. You know, we're not going to do whatever that improvement is if it costs 20% or more. But you can set the number yourself. You could say 5%. You could say 10%. I feel like it would cost a little more to do some things. So if you said 0%, right, then maybe nothing would get done, but maybe 5 or 10%, you know, but that's up to you, up to the situation in the town, obviously. Okay, go past that. And then, these are just other elements that I kind of went over already. Yeah, so you could go ahead past that. And this is where I wanted to show you the type of people, the roles that would be on an advisory board. Okay, so you can see that list with the letters. So you don't need all of those. In Fort Lee, I think we're going to have about 9 people, and we don't have EMS or fire, but we do have 2 people from schools. We don't have a planner or engineer. But we have DPW, we have, I think the chief of police is going to join. Okay, so, you know, people who would be involved. Members of the community, there are a few residents who I've spoken to, and they're very interested. Oh yeah, and the last part, it's important that you really represent the diverse communities in your town. So in Fort Lee, obviously we have large Asian populations, Korean and Chinese, so I'm getting some people from the local community organizations to be on that represent their communities too. Okay, and the checklist, so I think you get the idea with the checklist, so go ahead and go past that, go past. Okay, now I wanted to show you, yeah, so clearly, you know, the design of a road impacts how people use it. And you can put signs, you can put lights, but people will drive however they feel comfortable. So in this case, this is like kind of inviting people to speed, regardless of what the posted speed limit is. So go ahead. And so these are examples of things that can be done and not necessarily in isolation. They can be combined with other things to foster traffic calming. And so go ahead. You can see what that is. And then these things, but still, paint, signs, lights, they don't physically kind of cause people to slow down, but they can be combined with other elements. So go ahead. So you can see there, yeah, just even painting lines on the side can help. It visually narrows the road, but then that's kind of a waste of space. So you can combine with other elements. So go ahead. There's also going from just the simple 2-bar crosswalks to high visibility. So that can help bring visibility to pedestrians. And these are amazing. I think these can be done almost everywhere. You look in the top left. So this kind of allows pedestrians to kind of come out farther and still be safe. And it also narrows the driving lane for drivers. So it causes them to slow down. And it can be done very cheaply with plastic bollards, and they can be done very colorfully too, if you wanted to. They can be done, so a lot of these things there are cheap options, and then you can implement them even temporarily, and if you find sources of funding, you can actually improve them. So Fair Lawn has, I think they're cement or steel bollards, and with like curbs that are elevated. So go ahead. Okay, and just some more examples of curb extension. They can be done mid-block as well. So go ahead. And then coming back again to green streets and complete streets together, you can combine these elements. So go ahead. So this is where it mentions bioswales, and in the top left you can see there's one that's in the sidewalk. So it's taking away a little sidewalk space, but it does provide protection for pedestrians from drivers. So that would allow water to flow in there. But you can combine them with curb extensions, and then you have like the traffic calming and flood mitigation at the same time. And these are very common in the Pacific Northwest, I've seen. And even like on the West Coast, I've seen a lot of these. There's one in Englewood, yeah, that on a county road, as a matter of fact. And then these chicanes it's kind of like probably many people have never heard of this, but this is like, right, like an element that causes people to slow down, but not a speed bump. So it's not vertical, it's a horizontal. Think of it as a horizontal speed bump. And the nice thing about like the one on the left is that cyclists can still go through that, right? The one on the right, top right, well, and obviously that one, like cyclists cannot go through those. And this could be combined with a bioswale as well. So go ahead. Yeah, the raised crosswalks, they act as like a speed bump in a way, but then also the pedestrians don't go down to the road level. Pedestrians stay at the sidewalk level, so that makes them more visible as well. Go ahead. And I really like this. So that bottom left is in New York City, but I really want to try to get us to do something like this in Fort Lee, where people, and this could be where you're thinking of people turning off of the county road onto a municipal road, and they're taking the left turn too sharply. So this forces them to kind of slow down more. Actually, I guess it's not sharply. It's a very, very wide turn, and it makes them make the turn more sharply, right? Okay, go ahead. We're getting near the end. So, yeah, these things, and these probably are not so relevant on municipal roads in town here. But go ahead. On the left, this is where, you get the crosswalk signal to walk, and the light turns green at the same time. So you're going at the same time, you're walking at the same time as drivers are going, but a leading pedestrian interval is where the pedestrians get to go a few seconds before the drivers get to go. So if there's somebody turning right or left, right, the pedestrians are already on their way. And Leonia has a pedestrian scramble where there's red lights all around, and the pedestrians all get to go in every direction at once. But that's only certain situations. I don't know if that would apply here. And yeah, you can tell what this is. So just better lighting at pedestrian level. Go ahead. Yeah, another option. That's kind of obvious. Go ahead. And these things, but they can be expensive, I've heard. And actually at the hawk beacons, I'm seeing more of these on county roads. So it seems the county is willing to put those in. Do you know how that works? The hawk beacon? So it actually is sort of like a red light that the pedestrian can activate. And so drivers are not supposed to go through that. It would be like going through a red light. So go ahead. You can go past this. And so then there's the funding. So here I'm not going to go through all of these. This is pretty much the end right now, thankfully. Yeah. Sorry, it's taking a long time, but there's so much. Okay. There are a lot of grants out there. They're still out there. Some of them are federal. Many are New Jersey. One is doubled accidentally. But on the slides after this, you don't have to go ahead. I have links and information about all of the grants. So I'll share this presentation with you later, and then you can look into the grants. So some of them are reimbursement. So you have to budget, and then you get reimbursed if you budget only if you get the grant. And then you spend your own money so that they make sure you are committed to it, and then they reimburse you. But some of them, it's money up front. So there is a lot of funding out there. But that's where it's just the commitment by the municipality, right? And figuring out, are you willing to do this for for all the, all the benefits that it would bring, but it would be kind of a change in the way that things are done a bit, right? So that's pretty much the end of this, my presentation. Now, do you have questions for me?
Any questions? Well, I'm sorry? Chris, thank you for the presentation. We do have, one second, we do have a shade tree commission. We have an environmental commission already established in town. I see the chairperson over here also, but I mean, this is something that can be discussed among the committee. I do like the idea of grants on this. This helps a lot. I know with planting of trees and I saw the bump out that you had. Actually, I saw that in another town too, and it actually did seem to slow the traffic down.
Mayor, if I can, when I get,
Go ahead.
well, we've talked about Berdan Street recently, and it's actually on for tonight, and, Dave and I met with the engineer just the other day, and we mentioned some bump outs, and also, we are doing two of the, rapid flashing beacon projects, one on Chestnut Street and one on Howard Avenue. I think this is definitely worthwhile for this committee to look into and move forward with.
I mean, if we could get some of the grants for the stuff that we actually are doing too right now in some areas, there's a large complaint of speeding in town. While we do have an officer that does that, he does a terrific job. This could also deter, and I'm hoping these little areas will, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I did that because I remembered something. I
Go
do
ahead.
that. Okay. So with Easy Ride, we work with municipalities. That's probably my boss messaging. We can help you do demonstration projects, which would be free. So we have access to materials such as chalk paint that you can paint on and do an intersection or corners like you saw in the pictures, and we can get plastic bollards, and we do like a survey before, a survey after, and if it seems to work well, we can collect data, and if it seems to work well and the residents like it, it could lead to, public support that then would help you to maybe do something more permanent in that location or do it in more locations around town. And so we help with the demonstration project. We also help with speed studies. So those are free as well, and we attach a radar sign somewhere in town that you're interested in, and it uses the radar, and there's no speed limit displayed, and we collect data for a week, and we look at that data, and then we turn the speed, the radar, we turn the indicator on, and then we see how that affected driver speeds. But then we write a report and make recommendations on that, and those reports are really helpful for getting grants as well. So those are things that Easy Ride offers that you could do, and it's kind of like trying things out before even buying, I guess you could say. Yeah.
And you do have a cost to this?
No.
Everything is free?
Yeah.
And once again, Mayor, I'll let you know, we've actually had a great relationship with Easy Ride. I know our bike rodeos, but going back before that, I met with, is she your boss?
Yes.
Lisa. So, we've used her again, and they donated bike helmets to our children. We're actually working with Midland School on a recent project, and we look to be doing something with Team RP, our Team Rochelle Park in October with the school. And we've taken advantage of their mobile radar units, and we've actually purchased our own because of the quality and the value of the studies.
Well, this is a great tool. Thank you for the presentation. I know there are some members of the public that like to ask you questions, if that's okay.
Sure,
Chris?
of course. Yeah.
Before we,
Hold on one second. I'm sorry, Mr.
before we do that, just a comment. What's that?
Chris, do you want to address Chris? Thank you.
Great presentation. I have the opportunity to work in different parts of the state, all over the place. But in Montclair, I know the street that is presented on there. And I remember that street, and I knew it was kind of like a divey street. You wouldn't consider that any place of business. And last time I was there, I noticed that there was businesses, there were people outside, they were eating outside. And I was looking around like, what changed over here? And I didn't realize, I didn't put my finger on it. When you brought it up here, it started to make sense. So I understand now, making the connection of what what happened to get to that point. And that's opened my eyes to some things. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, there are some
Mayor, may I? Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Yes, you addressed me, go ahead, Mr. Miller.
I know you mentioned that there's flexibility when drafting the resolution and the ordinance. Is there flexibility with the checklist as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right, yeah, because when I see this and how I see it fitting in Rochelle Park is especially with our new road projects that we do, nearly every year, and how green stormwater infrastructure could fit, especially within our flood-prone areas. So would the checklist be the same for the entire community, or could you have specific checklists for flood-prone areas, or how have you seen municipalities handle that?
So the checklists are like for the whole municipality, and I actually, before I leave, I can hand them to you, and you could look at them, yourself in more detail. So it's for coordinating like the planners, engineers, DPW, in how they approach any project, but within it, so maybe your focus in a particular area is like the flooding part. So that's the part of the checklist that you would use, and the other parts, like we're not doing that in this place. But I suppose you could. I mean, it would be your checklist, so you could even divide it up where you would have like your flooding checklists and like complete streets checklists, but there is that overlap, right, where you can do something like a curb extension with a bioswale in it. So you can use them how you wish, yeah. And I mean, it's just like your way of doing things going forward once you adopt them.
Awesome, thank you.
So, thank you. For the bump outs and the swales, does that get in the way of on-street parking?
Potentially, but often you can't park within a certain distance of the corner anyway, right? So often, like, the town will paint the curbs yellow there, but people will park there, at least temporarily, and then that creates a problem with, like, seeing, people crossing or cars coming. So it's a way of preventing people from parking where they're not supposed to be anyway. But some of them, it's up to you, depending on how severe certain issues are and how the residents feel, that you might say, like, okay, we'll put some chicanes in the middle of the street. It'll take away 2 parking spaces, but the residents want it, right? So you can listen to the residents and how they feel about it.
Yeah, the picture looked like it was in the middle of the street.
Yeah, they can be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would want a resident buy-in. If we're going to put one in front of their house, then they can't have a guest park directly in front of their house.
Yeah. So, sorry.
If I may, Mayor, so, we're talking about mid-block crosswalks, and unfortunately, once you put a crosswalk in, there's no parking within 25 feet of a crosswalk anyway, so why not add this where it's actually more speed mitigation and or a bioswale if it can be done? And, and again, I think I was just talking with Committeeman Sherwinski. I love the fact that the number can be adjusted, the budgetary number. And maybe you make it categories: 10% bioswales, 10% traffic calming, whatever it may be. But I love the customizable fact, which was never explained to me ever before. So glad to hear that.
That's great. I think Mr. Tolley wanted to finish.
No, that was my question about the bump outs in the middle of the street and the on-street
I
parking.
just asked that if you're going to just want to speak, please address me so I can get everybody, because I don't want everybody talking at the same time, please. Thank you. I do see members of the public that have a couple of questions. Can I get a motion to open to the public, please?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays, abstentions? Nope. Okay. I think, Mr. Donatello, just raise your hand first for it. Come on up, please. Thank you.
I'm Pete Donatello, emergency management coordinator. Chris, that was a great presentation, but I got a question for you.
Sure.
Because you have a flooding street identification component built in, The township participates in the FEMA NFIP community rating system, where we offer our residents a discount for activities. We went from a 5, we're currently at 15. We're striving for a 20% discount in flood insurance premiums. Do you know if participating in the Green Streets program is one of the items listed? If you've looked at the CRS criteria, it's like encyclopedia thick. I'd have to go back and look, but if you could answer that question for us, and maybe make it a little bit easier for these folks to be able to, make an informed decision. By participating in Green Streets, you know if that's a criteria, because we're looking to get to that 20% reduction mark.
Yeah.
Is that a...
No, I don't know, but Lisa might know. Lisa is the director of our the sustainability program at Easy Ride, so I'll definitely ask her about it. Yeah, I mean, I could get your information, we can get back to you.
Sure, and I would look it up myself as well, because we have the book, I just don't have it with me.
Yeah,
but I didn't know if you knew that offhand.
No, I didn't.
That was a question. I'm going to make an assumption that the flooding you spoke about in the Green Streets is the urban type of flooding that we've had, right? The drainage issues, the heavy rain, that type of thing. We're not looking at when the river and the brooks swell, we're looking at more dealing with the urban type of flooding.
Well, I mean, that map that I showed, it looks like it's a combination of flooding, which is just rainfall onto the streets, but also there's a brook that branches off, right? And that area would overflow. And so it doesn't matter what the cause of the flooding is, actually. It's just the fact that flooding happens, and you can include these elements. Yeah.
I'm thinking that it's got to be that sounds like it hits some of those marks that we're looking at.
Well, I guess you would have to look at specific grants that you would be applying for and demonstrate a need, perhaps. But you'd have to dig into the specific grants to see what the criteria are, I think.
Yeah. I was more concerned about just participating in Green Street.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing that would...
That component, if that qualifies for it.
Yes, and we'll find out about that.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Warren, I saw your hand up.
Hi, Michael Warren, 181 West Older Street. I don't think Green Streets is stopping a hurricane like Mr. Donatello thinks it's going to do. I think it's going to stop or alleviate localized flooding from heavy rain.
Okay, Mr. Donatelli speaking. Thank you.
You had your turn, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think Rochelle Park is at a crossroads. And you guys up here all want to see small businesses come to town, restaurants, etc. Problem in Rochelle Park, it's miserable to drive in this town. You all know it. We all know it. There's too many cars on the road here. There's too much traffic. And there's not enough places to get to where you can not have to get into a car. You guys know I brought this policy to you 2 years ago. Different people were up here, but I'm glad Chris is here with that now. I can't see how a bioswale would hurt to stop localized flooding, as some other people believe. Hasbrook Heights just recently took their right away. I have some photos and a video, and took out a piece of their sidewalk to put in some green space. If we're going to try to alleviate water from going to someone's home, we need to give it some place to go, and asphalt will not collect it. And our drains can only hold so much. And those drains cost a lot of money to build, and you guys know it because you do your road projects all the time. When people come to you guys, for the past 10 years that I've lived in town, they want to know two things. One is, why is there speeding on my road? And what are you doing about flooding? So if I was running for office, I'd say, I'm going to do something like this. Because at least you're doing something to help address people with different mobilities. People who walk, who don't own cars, who can't drive cars, people who want to bike ride someplace in town. But if you want those businesses to come here, like you said in Montclair, they need to know that people can get here and not have it be a miserable experience. Or that the people who live in town who want to enjoy those restaurants, cafes, those places you guys want, can get there and enjoy it and be safe to get there. I think the customizable way of doing the complete streets is great for places like Lincoln Drive, who come here all the time. West Old is from Rochelle Ave to Verdun. any street that's a cut-through could use a little TLC, some bump outs, et cetera, properly placed. Maybe Chestnut, where you guys were talking about painting lines to cross the street there. That might need a bump out there to narrow the road, to slow down. People will slow down if they think they're going to damage their car. And that's a big incentive to not speed, right? So I appreciate your presentation. I'm pretty, I've read the whole policy. I'm a big fan of it. I think giving the water someplace to go is necessary for this town. And I think in order to bring in the type of vibrant economy you want here, you need to make it safe to do so for people to get to, and make it pleasurable to drive around this town, because it's not fun to try to get from one end to the other. So thanks, Chris. Thank you guys for hearing the presentation, and thank you for your questions, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Anyone else? Mr. Smith? Yeah, take your time. Hi, Sean.
Hey, Sean Smith, 115 Thiem Avenue. I grew up in Fort Lee, so I kind of know it pretty well. And I know Fort Lee blocks off local streets on Route 46 and main thoroughfares. How does that assist with the green streets? Meaning that you can't go through Fort Lee to go to the George Washington Bridge. You have to stay on 46, get stuck in traffic, because they won't let you go through the local towns of Fort Lee. How does that assist with the green streets?
I think, well, I guess the question would be, how would complete streets help with that? Okay. So I mean, if you make it so that,
I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but we have Route 17.
Yeah, right.
We'll get off Route 17.
Right. I know.
Especially when the malls are packed.
Yep. I'm really surprised that there's all those streets that are just open to Route 17, that they're not like dead ends. I'm surprised about that. But so along Route 46, there's only 2 roads where they put kind of plastic barriers.
Jones Road on Route 46.
But then they haven't been doing it anywhere else. They were trying to do it in Leonia, but then the state said you can't do it. But if you, I mean, there are other things that you can do too, where you only allow one way through the street at one end, or things that you would put in the middle of the block so residents can get where they're going, but people cannot drive all the way through. But also, if you're slowing the speeds, you're making it not possible to speed through, then people might seek alternate routes where they can go faster. And so I know that's a huge issue for a lot of towns. We're working with Oradell, and they're trying to figure out these cut-through drivers. So we're trying to figure that out too. And there are other things too, like Vision Zero, and there's a local safety action plan that are addressing some of these things too. I don't know if I can answer it more than that right now.
Well, they close off the streets, so the Fort Lee police will close off the streets. You have to show them an ID.
No. No, I think they might have been doing that in the past. I think Leonia was doing that, but then the state said you can't do that anymore.
Can't do it.
And so, listen, the traffic...
They still put the...
there's 2 locations I know along 46, but the traffic...
My mom lives on North Avenue.
Okay, backs up still. Not, surprisingly, it doesn't back up as much. Seemingly, this is anecdotal, but since congestion pricing went in. But it still backs up all through the neighborhoods. We can't take the car out on a Saturday night or even a Sunday night. Yeah, still. So, also the towns can work hopefully with Google. I think towns are trying to do this to prevent Google from rerouting through neighborhoods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially in this town. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. That's a good point.
Very good. Anyone else? Okay, may I close, have a motion to close the public? May I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Any nays, abstentions? No. Chris, this was very enlightening. I know that, I believe that the committee will discuss this. This is something that, in my personal opinion, would be very beneficial to the town. We are working, as the chief did say, on a bump out, also with flashing lights. We have the ADA ramps.
Yeah.
One of the streets already accessible, so it's easier to do that.
Yeah.
This could be something that we could look forward to working with you, if possible.
For sure, yeah.
And then we'll reach out. I know our Administrator, Mr. Pinto, will try to also reach out Yes, Mr. Tingle?
Real quick, my DPW superintendent who had to run out for a fire call has a lot of questions, and I said we'll set up maybe a conference call.
Sure, no problem, yeah.
Great. Chris, this has been thank you so much. for
Sure,
your
yeah, thank you.
presentation. All right?
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah.
you being here. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move forward. And now we have the public participation. May I have a motion to open to public?
Motion?
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Committeewoman Apici? Yes. Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Trulinski?
Yes.
Mayor George Carvello?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Okay, anybody from the public that has a question, comment, concern? Mr. Davidson?
Okay, if everyone would please state their name and the town in which they reside. You're limited to 3 minutes. At 30-second point, I will advise you have 30 seconds left, and if the mayor wishes to allow you to continue speaking, she can do so at her discretion.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Davidson?
Yeah, Mr. Davidson from Lexington Avenue, excuse my
Just,
voice.
can you get a little bit closer?
Yeah, sorry
Thank
about my
you.
voice here. Last month, I believe that Boswell, that you asked that Boswell come to one of these meetings and discuss the pump station further. There were several questions that there were regarding the project itself. I looked at the meetings, the last couple of meetings, I haven't seen where they've gone. I'm not sure if somehow or another I missed it. But do you plan on having them come here? So I think the town really needs to have an update on what exactly is going on, when they plan on going out to bid.
Well, I'll ask you a question when you're finished. Do you have something
Okay.
else?
No, go ahead with that,
Okay,
please.
well, actually, I can give you a little bit on it.
That'd be
We had
wonderful.
to actually have soil testing in that area. We had to wait for that to come back. And that recently came back with some contaminants in it. So we're still waiting for some kind of response on, we're not getting that yet?
No, we do have the response, and that's why we have the proposal on
Would you
to,
tell Mr.
yeah, so were you here when Mr. Rossi was here from the environmental?
Yes.
So we've run into,
Yes, I'm aware of that.
so that's going to be has to be addressed first. The plans are done, the drawings are done. They're
But
complete.
I'm sorry, but my understanding was, as a result of that meeting with him being here,
Uh-huh.
that there were further questions, and that somebody else was supposed to be at this meeting to answer those questions. It looks like maybe nobody has those questions, but I do.
Well, we've had several meetings with members of the committee and Boswell subsequent to that meeting. If the mayor wants Boswell to come in, I can arrange for
I mean,
that.
we could actually have Boswell, but right now we have to, on this agenda, we have to approve going forward
I
with
saw
the
some
soil.
additional,
Right,
I saw some
right.
additional, I
We
think
have the-
$26,000 for some.
We have
Right.
already we have the money put aside for it. We did that.
Yes,
right?
I'm aware of
We're all
that as
set
well.
with that. Now
Yeah.
we have to get the soil, and we have to go through all this process
Right.
and then move forward. Are we working diligently and very hard to get this done at ASAP? Yes, we are.
I just want to make sure they are.
Oh, yes, they are.
Yeah, through the chair?
Yes, they are.
If I may?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, Mr. Davidson, I can tell you, it's probably a daily conversation that I have with the mayor and members of this committee, and I relay those concerns to Boswell, but there's not a concern. Mr. Rossi's pushing things forward as fast as he can. This investigation will actually lead to the bid spec where the contractor will be responsible for the mitigation. So we're building that cost, rather than it being separated out and causing further delays, it'll be built into the bid spec for the pump station project. So that this is moving all of that forward as rapidly as we can, waiting on, of course, the DEP, but this will actually help expedite some of that as well.
I appreciate it. The only thing is, like I said, I know that the township requested to have somebody here, and I haven't seen anybody come.
We can't have anybody here until we get this done with Mr. Rossi, but I can assure you,
Okay.
I will assure
We
you,
are in,
Mr.
we are
Boswell,
in hurricane season now. We're going to miss another year.
no, we're not going to miss another year.
Well,
We're
well, by
working
the time-
we're working our
This
as
project,
fast as we
there will not
can.
be a shovel in the ground until after.
We will get the shovel. I almost can assure you that. I can't promise. Nothing, I don't have a crystal ball.
Don't do that.
But I can tell you that we're diligently working and moving forward as
And I
fast as we
appreciate
can.
that. I'm not one of those people that get flooded, but I know what those people have to go through.
I'm in that area.
I'm
So,
well aware of that. And there are others here as well, so, again, I'm
you
sorry.
know what?
but-
I think that Mr. Rossi, we can have Mr. Rossi, basically come with that If Mr. Boswell, if this committee decides you want him here next meeting, that's not a problem, Mr. Davidson. I can get him here at the end.
Yeah, I
end of
just
the
really
month
think
meeting.
that, I think that people need to know it. Listen, I
we know it.
understand what you're doing.
We know it.
I know what you've been
Yes,
doing.
yes,
Like I
thank
said.
you. I appreciate it.
If you go back and listen to the meeting, you're going to hear where you asked these people to be here, and they have not shown up yet.
We can have him
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you. Who's next? Mr. Ward.
Hi,
Hi.
I just have one quick question.
No worries.
On my ride home today, I saw a lot of cars in Roberto's, the old Roberto's lot.
Council?
Can I park my car there?
Yeah, I know.
No, that is being addressed by the construction official, and if we don't have compliance, the summonses will be issued for fines.
Can I ask how the cars got there? I mean, I know they didn't get up and go by themselves, but somebody put them there. The property owner?
That's our
Don't know.
belief at this point.
I mean,
When did this occur?
Today.
Okay. Nobody saw it happen?
We did, but there's not a law enforcement function to stop it.
Okay. All right, thank you guys very much.
thank you. Anyone else? Hi, come on up. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 second. Okay, hi. Mrs. Graziano, please. Yes.
It's just a quick question, Barbara Graziano. You had mentioned about repaving Rochelle Avenue. Were those patches the repaving?
No, ma'am. That project got pushed off. They wanted to do it during the school year, and we asked that they did not. So it's going to happen sometime after June 25th.
Oh,
I literally called the county
Tonight.
and they don't have a date for us. They're dealing with their issues with their contractor. So once we know, we'll post it on social media and our website and put it out there.
That was the repaving?
No, ma'am. No,
I
ma'am.
know there, Ms. Graziano, I know there was questions about it's milling and paving of the street. And I know I got a call today because it was in the Air Town, and the Air Town says the whole street's going to be closed off. They're going to do it in sections, but we're trying to set up that date because it does need to be done ASAP. And I will speak to, actually, we have a senior meeting tomorrow, and I'm trying to pin down a date from the county. We had one, and then the school was in session. Now we couldn't do it, so we have to do another.
When it's going to be done, I just thought that was it.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, it's going to be done pretty soon, I understand. We're trying. We're trying to get the county back here, and that's a project in itself.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hi, yes, come on. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm Samantha Omerza at 21 Bennett Avenue, Rochelle Park. So this came up during the Environmental Commission meeting, but I was told that it was something to bring up to the committee. So the impression when you enter a town and the welcome sign is something that resonates. And I often come from Paramus Road, down West Passaic Street into town and see the welcome sign by El Asadero. And I think that it could really benefit the town to look into updating it.
I believe that was the project that I'm understanding, if I'm correct, that was done by the Boys.
It was an Eagle Scout project.
Eagle Scout project.
Correct.
And it has been brought up before, Samantha. Listen, anybody wants to volunteer to help do that, that would be great. We'd love to see an update. I know at one time there were people that were planting flowers. Or person, I shouldn't say people, there was a person that was planting flowers in front of that sign to beautify it. This might be something that you may suggest to other people if they want to put something like that. I think it has to be stained again. It kind of is off color. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it just needs a little bit of updating.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of surrounded now by other things, which I'm not sure if that's...
I'm sorry?
I'm not sure if it's allowed for it to be surrounded so much by other decor.
Horses you're talking about?
It kind of just gives the impression like we're a farm town. Just to be frank, like driving into town, if we didn't live here,
That's a good way of putting it.
it's just kind of, just overall gives that impression.
So you're feeling that it's too overabundant when you're coming into town with all that?
Just all of it put together.
Do you feel it's a distraction when you're driving?
I mean, I drive by it a lot personally. It's fine. It's just
surrounded by a lot.
Yeah, and it just doesn't give the appropriate impression of our town. I really think that it can use an update, but I understand that there is significance to the sign now, hearing that it was an Eagle Scout project. so.
Yeah, it was in Eagles. I mean, and there was added to a little bit here, a little bit there. It's been for many years there. I remember way back when it was done. And I know that they have placards on it for different things, stigma-free. I'm trying to remember some of the
There's
other
an
ones.
EMS sign,
Sorry?
There's an EMS sign there too.
EMS sign, yeah.
and, like,
Okay. But, you know, I'm sure maybe we can even see if somebody would be interested for Eagle Scout. Maybe it should, even just to try to update it a little bit, that would be a great thing. And anybody you have to suggest, that would be perfect also.
Okay.
But
I'll definitely think
we'll see
about
what we can do about it. Thank you, Samantha.
I also had one
Yeah,
more question.
sure.
I missed most of the presentation. I'm sorry about that. But I wanted to ask if we're also looking into adding more crosswalks and safety measures down West Passaic Street. I noticed that between Harvey and the Garden State Plaza entrance, which is a pretty big space, there's not really another crosswalk. So like if I'm going to Woodstone from Bennett Avenue, I'm crossing like in the middle of West
There's the light
Passaic.
right there. Are you not crossing at the light? Harvey and
So I'd be walking down to Harvey, going over.
Well, you're on the
going
corner
down.
of Bennett,
Yeah.
so it's like a half a block. So that would be the light to cross. That's County Road right there. You know, that's Passaic Street's County Road.
Right, right. I'm
Then
saying
you
going toward like Woodstone.
So if you're
going
just
toward the
walking out
mall.
toward Asaderos and then
There-
crossing over there?
But there's nothing in between though. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of rules about
I
like the
think we have
spacing
to
between
speak to
them.
the county about that, you know, for
Okay.
adding a crosswalk. Chief?
Correct. It's a county road. It'd have to, would seek
Would have
county
to.
engineering study and approval.
Okay, so that would be
Unfortunately.
separate than the program. That
It
would-
would-
Yeah, if it was
you-
our
you-
road, that's a different story because that's a township, you know, decision.
Okay.
But going through, like the chief just said, the county, that they do a study, they go through a lot of stuff to make that. I mean, I think it's, I know exactly where you live, and I know if you just walked up to the lake and crossed, right there, you could go straight down. Say you were going to Woodstone, I'm just giving an
Right,
example. And that's a straight walk right there.
Yeah, I just see a lot of people crossing in the middle of that road,
I have
especially like
too.
from the
Yes.
like office buildings.
What you're talking about from the hotel down there.
Like
across the
close,
front.
like in between,
Yeah.
like that big in between. I
The
see
Mac
people
building there across,
crossing,
yeah.
like just in the middle of the road.
Yeah, well,
Even
that's
just when
called
I'm
jaywalking,
driving.
but, you know, I understand what you're saying. We don't want anyone hurt. But again, that's a county project. We can reach out to the county and see if they could actually look at that,
Thank
do a
you.
study and let us know. ASAP, God forbid, we don't want anybody hurt.
Mayor? May I? I'm wondering, and maybe Mr. Scatino can answer this, if there was to be, what's the word I'm looking for, where people, a petition by some of our residents, would this committee be able to send a supporting resolution along to the county suggesting a crosswalk in an area, knowing that Woodstone just did a major addition, El Asadero is down there, and there is no viable crosswalk for people in that area?
I think you can do that, and as long as you provide some justification for it, I'm sure they'll consider it.
Yeah, and I know we did have a fatal pedestrian accident, probably about 20 years ago, but there definitely was one.
Yep, we did. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Samantha.
Yeah, thank you
Anything
very
else?
much.
You're good? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
about that?
Yes.
You know, there's a curve in the road there. I think it might be actually very difficult to put a crosswalk there, but the county would have to determine that, like you stated. But it would probably be safer, even though you're going in the opposite direction, to walk the half block and cross at the light, because it is a county road and there is a curve by where you would like to cross.
I know that you probably could cross, you know, kind of, she's basically talking about by the Mac building there and crossing over toward Asaderos in that area. I'm trying, Chief, is there, by the light there up by the Parkway, is there a crossway walk there?
There is.
There is.
So if we're looking in, so.
So she has, unfortunately, this resident has two options. One is to walk further east to go back west, and one is to go further west to walk back east.
Yeah, I know what you're talking, yeah.
I just see a lot of people crossing.
They have been for years, Samantha. That seems to be a thing. I know they come from the hotel there and they cross over to go to ShopRite. I've watched it. I live there. I make the left down the street. I know what you're saying. And it is a concern. There was a fatality there. It's got to be, the fatality has to be 20-something years ago, right, Chief?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, I remember.
Retired Lieutenant Diamond was a police officer at the time, so that's how long ago.
20-something years ago. But, well, we could see. We'll see what we could do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing or seeing no one, may I have a motion to close to the public?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Antola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Oh. What was that?
That's the computer shutting
Oh,
down.
I didn't even know. I'm like,
Mayor, may I add one thing?
yes, sir.
I just want to say, the past few meetings, members of the public have been talking a lot about pedestrian safety, so I am very grateful that Chris did provide that presentation because we're trying to address these issues. So it's been a common theme that we've seen from these meetings. So it's great that you provide that presentation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes. I know that there's been about speeding that talked about, and now we hear pedestrian crossing and bump out and lights, and I know this is a consideration. Chris did a great job, and I think we can hopefully talk more about it. We'd love to do that, and appreciate your time. Thank you for coming. Anything else, Mr. Miller?
No,
Okay.
thanks.
Anyone else?
Sure.
Mr.
Along those lines, I was thinking, and again, seeing it in other towns, main thoroughfares, main streets, maybe this is something with the county project we can eventually entertain. Is the old street lamps with the planters and and really bringing attention to the entrances to Rochelle Park, rather than the standard what we have, and it's going to be redone anyway.
Well,
Now's the time.
Administrator, please.
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
that was my drum. I've been banging at the county with all the meetings we've had regarding Rochelle Avenue, and the constant answer is we're only responsible from what's within the curb line. Anything outside the curbs, you need to go find that money and find those grants to get. So we'll try, we'll do our best, but those are, they're large projects. Maybe we do it in phases. But I agree with you, the look and feel needs to be done. Why the county, when they're getting, specifically Rochelle Avenue, getting a $10 million grant, can't consider that, thinking outside the box. Again, that's for us to discuss with them.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay, perfect. Let's move on. We have an introduction of an ordinance. Claire, would you please read it?
Yes, ordinance 1239-25, amendment of chapter 86 entitled Crane Regulations.
Okay, so, Chief, would you explain a little bit about this crane regulation?
Sure, Mayor, absolutely. So we've had some issues recently inside the offices with mostly tree removal companies coming in and saying, hey, we just can't get insurance for the minimums that you require for us to get a crane permit. In the discussion with Mr. Scatino, it was advised to reach out to our risk manager. So the numbers we're amending this to exceed what other towns have, but brings down what was termed to be from our risk manager. Yeah, your are actually quite high. Your numbers are quite high. They're a little high, and suggested new limits. And this ordinance will amend our ordinance to be in line with the required limits from our risk manager / our insurance company, and allow for reputable tree companies to be able to obtain those permits.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion to move this ordinance 1239-25?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Antola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Mayor,
Would you
will
please read this?
Ms. Kim? Yes, the notice is hereby given that ordinance 1239-25 was introduced and passed on first reading at a meeting of the Township Committee of Rochelle Park held today, June 11th, and ordered published in accordance with the law. Said ordinance will be considered for final reading and adoption at a meeting held on June 25th at 7 p.m. in the Township of Rochelle Park Municipal Building, at which time all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning such ordinance.
Thank you. So this is adoption of the ordinances, and these are ordinances, would you read please the ordinance that are going to be adopted?
Ordinance 1236-25, amendment of Chapter 31 entitled Public Works Superintendent of. Ordinance 1237-25, amendment of an ordinance establishing a shade tree commission. Ordinance 1238-25, addition of a new chapter to the Township of Rochelle Park Code entitled Chapter 50 Restricted Areas.
Very good. Okay, may I have a motion to open these to the public?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Okay.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Committeewoman Ampichi?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions on these ordinances to be adopted? Hearing or seeing none, may I have a motion to close to public?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Committeewoman Ampichi?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman
Yes.
Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes. All right, so each one will have to be voted on individually. And this is ordinance 1236-25. May I have a motion to move and adopt this ordinance, please? May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Committeewoman Ampichi?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passed. Thank you. We have ordinance number 1237-25. May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Who got it? Jen? Okay. May I have, I'm sorry? Jen?
Jen got it, yes.
Jen got it. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Ampichi?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. And ordinance 1238-25. May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Committeewoman Ampichi?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes.
Motion
Thank you.
passes.
So we have them all here now, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then we have a couple of resolutions.
Yes.
All right, so this is the consent agenda. All items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Township Committee and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a committee member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda as part of the general orders. Any questions or concerns or removal of these? Any comments? Okay, so we're doing resolution, and I read these off because I know it can get a little confusing here. And we're going to do, these all start with 25, and it's dash 179, 180, 181, 182, 183, 184, 185, 186, 187, 188, 188, do we have to make that person's name known on that one? I think it's on the backup.
It's Appraisal Systems.
It's Appraisal Systems Incorporated, okay. 189, it's firefighter. 190 is also another probationary firefighter. 191, the dispatcher that was here, very nice woman. That's 191, 192. We have 193 and 194. Now let me, if I may, say something about 194. So a few years back, let me get it out here. Rochelle Avenue had to be fixed up. Rochelle Avenue, some turn lanes. Turn lane onto Terrace Avenue. Turn lane onto Railroad Avenue, turn lane onto Central Avenue. This was a shared service agreement that was a few years back that was brought in front of by Mr. Dutch from the county. The shared service was for $10 million to fix up Rochelle Avenue and do these turn lanes. There was a little bit of a holdup because it had to be approved by the Board of Education on some of the land that would be used or what could be done with it. This is 4 years into this project, and I, myself, the administrator, and Mr. Twinski met with the county commissioners, and, I'm sorry, county, Mr. Tedesco, executive, and we discussed this, and we need to get this moving, and here's why. This is a 10-year project. We are 4 years into it already. We also met with the school board today. And we just took the language for the school board that was holding this up for a little bit. We're going to take it out, but they have a right with our resolution to rejoin this shared service when they get it approved by their board. Time is of essence right now to get this $10 million. We don't know if anything's going to change. They exchanged with our brick grant for our pump station and we lost 1.9, almost $1.9 million. That was taken away from us. This is $10 million to fix up Rochelle Avenue. And if you drive down Rochelle Avenue, which I hear a lot of people saying that the streets are very congested, hard to drive through and everything else, without such turn lanes in some of the areas, for instance, you're coming down Essex Street on Rochelle Avenue, you're sitting right before the railroad tracks while somebody's trying to make a left-hand turn there. That causes congestion, right? And we're all the way back up. You have also in the area of Central Avenue, there's congestion there because of the lights in the areas that are moving forward. So this shared service agreement is with the county to be able to put this $10 million aside for this project that's called the Rochelle Avenue Corridor Improvement Township of Rochelle Park. With this shared service agreement, we are able to put this money aside and then start with engineers and architects and plans, because we don't actually have plans to do all of what we want to do on Rochelle Avenue. We have renditions, we've seen a couple of them, but we don't actually have plans for this. This is why this shared service is here. Discussion on it was, pretty, we need to get things done. We're trying to move things forward, and this is one of the things that has to be. It's been there for 4 years. There was a little bit of a glitch in it. The glitch has been taken out. At this point, in my opinion, was a glitch, but they can also be coming back into it. So that is the resolution 25-194. So may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici? Yes. Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Covello?
Thank you, yes.
Motion
Alrighty, so we have a motion, we're going to adjourn, but the next meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. Of course, the agenda is subject to change. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
May I have roll call, please?
Committeewoman Apici? Yes. Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes, meeting adjourned is 8:59. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Good night. Good night, John. John, you're going to sign.